sure no one can hear the shit. This is my intro for today.
I can't hear it either. I'm just dancing.
That's fine. It's terrible. I don't even know where the speaker is on this bitch. I just want intro music. I just want to vibe for a minute. And this is going to look real stupid if no one can hear this music but me.
I mean, like, I'm still dancing, right? I don't even know the beat. I hope I got it.
You are. You know, you're African American,
Cool.
so you will always be on beat. I turned it off. That's it.
Okay.
So, hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Interviews You Didn't Ask For. No one asked for this, but yet here we are. Having conversations, and we have our first motherfucking guest. I wish I have nothing to do on a Saturday evening, and so I'm going to interview all the interesting motherfucking people I know. Being said, get your wine, whatever you use to inebriate your soul, and prepare for who knows what's going to happen, because the only rule is we do not start over. So, and I have no editing equipment. So I want to introduce Lady Smoker.
Lady Smoke.
Clap, 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 clap.
Yeah. Yeah.
John loves to make that sound, but he does it wrong.
Which one?
The like the. It's so wrong.
I feel you. Yeah, it's a whole thing.
Do you want to give us a limited and exclusive introduction to who you are? You know, share what you want to share.
Girl, I am the I'm inebriated. I'm
That's
complicated.
Yeah.
I am an Aquarius. I can't really describe who I am. Honestly, like ask me anything. That's what I'm saying. Like ask me anything. Like
that's
I have
what we're gonna do. That's what
exactly.
We're gonna do. I've known you for a very long time. Know the actual number of years.
Let's not talk about that.
Yeah, it's just a long time. We've been on this earth time, but the things I just want to pull out some pieces so people know who they're talking to, what to expect. You are a fashion designer, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm a fashion designer. I am currently laid off, which is new for me, but you know, everything's going on, like everything is new, so it is what it is.
But you've designed things that people who are watching this may have good chance worn.
Yes. I've designed for like in the past, I'm not gonna talk about my most recent like position, but in the past I've designed for Victoria's Secret Pink and for Champion. So I've definitely worked with some big companies. I did do rainbow as well. Yes, I designed for rainbow.
That's the shit I wear.
That's what I love though. Honestly, rainbow, that was the shit. Like that was all like I was gonna be so creative and do whatever the fuck I wanted. Like rainbow was the shit. So yes, rainbow, yes. But Champion, rainbow, Victoria's Secret Pink, I work for all of them.
So out of those options, being on the inside, which one would you say is the better bang for your buck?
Honestly, rainbow. Like I'm not even gonna lie, rainbow and Champion. So I'm telling you, because like rainbow has the same factories as some of these big stores. Like what's it called? Fashion Nova, Dow's Kill. They all use the same factories that Rainbow uses. So if you get some stuff from Rainbow and that shit looks hot and it wears well, trust and believe you won't get a better quality like barely anywhere else.
I need to go back and find that post. So the only people who see this know me. I posted that a lot because I remember there was a conversation about that because I was looking on Fashion Nova and I was looking at rainbows and I'm like, I've seen this. I actually have something. It's a robe. I should go get it. I bought it from Rainbows. It's like a robe with like studs or some stupid shit on it. And I like it though. I saw it on Fashion Nova and I'm like, they just put it on a different bitch. And
exactly. Yeah, exactly. They just put it on a smaller bitch. And I'm like, oh, Well, I mean, that's my
those
design,
weird,
but
the hourglass shaped girls, those like impossibly shapely women, and they put it on there, and you think it's a different product, and it's not.
Exactly, but it's not. Exactly, no, it's the same thing. That's why it's like, even Victoria's Secret Pink, when I was working for them, their shit was like terrible, because they were, I mean, it wasn't terrible for like for what they were doing, but like for the cost, the quality was rainbow quality, because they had the same factories. So I'm like, how are y'all charging like $50 for this, but they charging like 10? I don't like, I don't understand how this happened. It's for greed, you know what I mean? It's all about greed.
So what do you think about, where Victoria's Secret is now, in terms of like, aren't they like, they're not officially going out of business, but they are, Like,
I'm honestly laughing about it. Like, I think it's hilarious, because when I was working up there, like I'm light skinned, as y'all can see, but at the same time, like, I am a Black woman, So when I was there, I was only one of 2 Black designers in the entire Victoria's Secret Pink company. Like, Victoria's Secret, like the lingerie, is a whole different company. So that's like downstairs where I was working.
How big is Victoria's Secret Pink?
I was at like, I want to say like 59th Street, Columbus Circle. We were in one of those really big buildings, and Pink took up 2 whole floors. Design was one floor.
Not like 20 people, like a couple hundred people.
Couple hundred people. So design was a whole floor, and then production was a whole floor. But through those 2 floors, I was one of 2 Black designers, and the other girl, we were both freelancers technically, and she was darker skinned, so they tried to make it seem like, it was a thing against me and her. And like, when I stood up for her, they were like really mad about it. I'm like, she's the only other person in my brethren here. Like, how am I not going to stand up for this girl? And she was cool.
Yeah.
She was a cool girl. But yeah, out of 2 floors, there was only 2 Black designers. They were both freelancers. And even like on the production floor, I maybe saw like one other, like, or maybe 2 other people of color total.
But that's what happens when you lack diversity. Like, I think companies are realizing that you can't be innovative with a group of the same motherfucking people.
I mean, I think they say that, but at the same time, like, that's why Victoria's Secret is going down. That's why I'm kind of like, well, y'all was saying that, and y'all had some, like, people of color freelancers, but when it came to your actual, like, designers, because I mean, like, who wears Victoria's Secret Pink? You know what I'm saying? And that's what I was like really noticing. Exactly. I was like, yo, honestly, like, every time I see Victoria's Secret Pink, it's in the hood. Either it's like, it's like a white girl, Black girl, Latino girl, but it's always in the hood. I never see that shit like in like,
well, it used to be white college girls. White college girls used to love Victoria's Secret Pink. But I think that, the CEO made some statement about wanting to be exclusive and basically being tone deaf to the fact that just societal norms and concerns change. And so people have moved away from just like seeking this perfect body and more to body acceptance and acceptance diversity.
The CEO is like connected to Jeffrey Epstein, right?
No.
Oh, girl, the tea. So the CEO of Victoria's Secret has his own city in Ohio, apparently. We'll keep it light. But it's like his own like utopian city. So let's say Pleasantville. So it's all white all the time.
What?
Girl, yes. And that's why the company was like so Aryan. Excuse my French. That's why I was like, what? I was working there. I was like, why is everybody white? And then I like learned about this. I'm like, oh no, oh my God, this guy is like serious.
What's so funny? I had a recruiter from L Brands reach out to me. This was like a couple years ago for a position, and I considered it because L Brands, they also own Lane Bryant.
Yes.
And so that's, my focal point. But I also realized, like, what was always funny to me was like Lane Bryant versus Ashley Stewart. Like, such,
Speak on it.
Like Lane Bryant, I used to go there. But at some point you were like, this is, rich white soccer mom clothes. And then Ashley Stewart was like, they had hip hop and shit. They had lime green. Shit was colorful. But then Ashley Stewart, and this was recently, like hooked up with like the Jenner sisters.
Oh, I heard. Yes, yes.
Which was like, who
Yeah,
that? But also,
I was almost hired to work on that project. Yeah, I mean, I fucks with Acting Stewart still, but at the same time, like, I feel like I fucks with Rainbow harder. You know what I'm saying? Like, Rainbow is
Yeah.
like I've literally bought dresses from Rainbow that I've worn to Fashion Week, and people are like, "Where'd you get that dress?" And I'm like,
I've always wanted to go to Fashion Week. What can you
"Yo,
tell us what it's like? I just want to hear.
it's really intense. Like all I can say, like that's all I can really describe it at Fashion Week as. It's intense. Like you want to like relax and look at like all the beautiful garments that are coming to the runway, the models, everything like that. But it's just so much happening at once that it's kind of it's not, you can't really enjoy it until like later. You know, like it feels like work. Even when you're there just to like observe, like you're observing because you're there for a reason. So it's a very I don't know. It's almost like working in it's like working in art, you know, like you're around all this like beautiful stuff, but at the same time, like you're not able to just like take it all in. You're focused on what your task is. That's my I don't know how I've felt at Fashion Week. Cause like I've like dressed models, I've visited for runway shows, all those kind of things. Even when I was like going to a runway show to spectate, it was like people were asking me afterward, like, so what did you like? What was this? What was that? You know, like what did you see that's a trend word? Da da da. And it was like, oh, like you didn't pay attention the entire time. So it's just very much like quick pace, keep focused, you know, and also stay pretty. Which is why it's like today I have a mask on because like I didn't finish my makeup. I did my brows and I did a little bit of mascara, but I was like literally dead ass sleep when Kitty called me. And I'm like, ah, all right, girl, I got you. And I had to get up. So yeah, you know, always on 10.
I think I'm, I enjoy fashion. I don't think it translates into my everyday life. Like, I'm just more of I like really avant garde and over the top extraness. So
Is that so?
my makeup today is from, I wanted to do, I want to do a photo shoot every Saturday.
Nice.
And so I finally busted out these Tims I bought. They are SpongeBob Tims. I should go get them. But I feel like I'm gonna get up and walk away. That's gonna be awkward. So I might go get the shit anyway. Real quick, I just want to tell everyone what I'm drinking currently. Drink number really two. I call it "Watch Your Life Flash Before Your Eyes." I can't find a word, but it's a Bang energy drink. Bang is basically meth, but it's keto friendly. But that shit will have you like.
Is it all meth keto friendly?
Meth is also keto friendly. It is. A lot of drugs are.
I know, right? Except for like some kind of liquors.
But I don't even know. Girl's gone. Anyway, but something about fashion. The point with fashion is to bring up one of the things I hadn't mentioned yet that you have done. So if you've ever watched Project Runway, I used to be obsessed because I enjoy fashion, though I don't know what to do with my enjoyment other than posting my Insta story. But I used to watch Project Runway, and they always used to go to this one fabric store for all of their fabrics. Fabrics is, I'm trying to sound French, but it's just fabric.
Right.
And it's called Mood, and you used to work there. Were you ever there during like Project Runway stuff?
Yes. Yes, and I'm definitely like.
Is there an episode that you're in?
I can't tell you the exact episodes that I'm in because I never pay attention to that shit. Like I have like social anxiety for real. But there have definitely been times the camera caught me and people like tagged me in a post like, "Oh, you in this episode last night, Liz?" And I'm like, "Stop!" Like it just like freaks me out that I was like on camera and shit. But honestly, like Mood was like, oh man, that was such an intense place to work. And like I recently watched this show on Netflix. It's like based on a true story. It's called Unorthodox. About these like this Orthodox Jewish woman who like left her Hasidic community in New York. It was really intense. But when I was working at Mood, for whatever reason, like I didn't understand at the time, but like all the Orthodox women became my clients. You know, because Orthodox women have a certain way of talking. Like they speak Yiddish, I guess, like when they're talking like to a family or whatever, but they know English. But because like they speak Yiddish, they have a certain like kind of like really harsh way of talking. We're like, hey, what is that fabric? Is that good? And me, you know, being from Detroit, I'm like, of course it's good. It's silk. What are you talking about? Like, how many yards you want? And they're like, I want 2 yards. I'm going to my daughter's wedding. And so like, because like I have this harsh way of talking, like they really kind of gravitated toward me and started like sending like all their brethren toward me. And I'm like, oh God. So like every time a Hasidic woman that would come in like to mood, they'd be like, go to Liz. Sorry.
Fuck it. Nobody knows what that means.
Right. Go to Smoke. She'll take care of you. And you know, it'd be good. So like when I was working at Mood, like I had all these like random Hasidic women customers who would just come in and they'd always have like their skirts to a certain length, their hats, their wigs, everything. But they would come in, they would know who to look for. And if they couldn't find me, they would be like, where is Smoke? Where is she? I was told to go to Smoke. And I'm like, I'm here. I'm just helping somebody else. Hold on one moment. It was crazy, but it was great. It was a great time. And honestly, like now that I understand like more of their story, I'm really happy I was able to kind of be that Shiska. I don't know if they have a word for like Black women in the Hasidic community, but like I was like, you know, like kind of like, yo, I was that bitch. So they're like, yeah, I like her.
So, because I'm also reading, that makes me think of, I watched this video about, because you mentioned the wigs. A place where the women who were Hasidic Jews who were bought their wigs, because you buy a wig because you're supposed to cover your hair.
Yes.
And the video I watched was a Black woman going to one of those places because it was a Black woman who did wigs. What was I watching? And I also forgot the point of that again. But what I am going to transition to is, you mentioned being from Detroit and working in New York. So you've lived a few places.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So one of the places you lived was Chicago, right?
Yes, brethren.
I have to ask you, did Chicago feel like an appropriate like preparation ground for New York?
Yes. Coming from like
tell
a
us
small...
the differences, because I'm Midwestern.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us the differences between Chicago and New York. Because Chicago's the Midwest New York, you know?
Right. Well, coming from like a Midwest city, like Detroit or whatever, you know, we don't really like use public transportation like that. We don't use, we don't like walk as much. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And everybody's into this business because everybody's just like at home by themselves. So if you like outside, everybody looking at you like, oh, why are you out here? Huh? So going to Chicago was a good kind of transition for me because like it was my first time like riding a train. I was riding on the L all the time to get like to work. I didn't like have a car for the most part. I was out there. And also it was the first time I was able to kind of just like walk fast in the streets and ignore what was going on around me. So if somebody was like doing something, whatever, it's like that's their business. Whereas from the Midwest, if I see somebody outside, I'm like, what you doing? Hey, how you doing, neighbor?
We nosy as hell. We are nosy as hell.
Exactly. Chicago was like that good church was like, don't get involved. You don't want to get involved. So sometimes I would be like, hey, what's going on today? What you want, bitch? And I'm like, nothing. You know? So when I got to New York, they were like, oh, sorry, my headphones just fell out. But when I got to New York, they were just like, you know, people like doing crazy stuff. And I'm like, all right, I'm just going to keep walking. I don't know you. Yeah.
So would you say that calling Chicago the New York of the Midwest is accurate?
No. No, Chicago is Chicago. New York is New York. I mean, like, honestly, every city is so different. Mm-hmm. Like, Chicago has so much more green space. Like, and you have more space in Chicago. Like, when I had an apartment in Chicago, like 2 or 3 times, I had a backyard. There were parking spots. There was laundry in the unit.
That's a good point.
New York was like, shit. Like, if you ain't got it, you ain't got it. You better learn. I'm like, oh no. So yeah, like every apartment I lived in New York, there was no laundry in the building at all, ever, because that's just too expensive for my blood. working as a designer. You know what I'm saying?
So y'all had to go to the laundromat for everything.
Everything. That's why it's like when people saying like, oh, you know, you left New York for Detroit, you like from one episode to the other. I'm like, but I have laundry in my house now, as opposed to like
your house.
Right, I have a house, as opposed to like going down the 4th floor of a walk up and having to pass my neighbors like every other floor and me getting winded just for like walking down the stairs.
You got more than one
up.
bedroom. Like that's Midwest right there for you.
My cat has his own room. Kitty.
That's what I'm saying.
My cat has his own room, and he's in there all the time. Like, what you come in my room for? I'm like, dang.
Because he's experiencing the space. It's new, you know.
Yeah. Oh, he feels fancy now, though. He's like, oh, I'm fancy. I'm fancy. Exactly. He has his own chair for like a little like blanket and everything. Like, oh, this is my place. I'm like, cat, I need you to. You ain't never paid rent a day in your life. Like, at least be grateful. Be like, nah, I've always been here. Whatever.
So tell us Midwesterners who have never lived in New York but only perhaps visited about New York. Like, you hear it's a crazy place. I will say, the most recent time I went to New York, because I saw you when I was there.
Right.
We witnessed a robbery.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, I was with my coworkers and I'm buying earrings from this lady on the street and she making them clip-ons and I'm blessing her, you know, secretly in my soul because I don't have pierced ears. And these kids bust out of an AT&T running, knock this old ass man over onto the ground, and they run. It was 2 kids, and then a couple minutes later, it was a 3rd kid who must not his friends were stealing. And my coworkers are from various different places. You know what I'm saying? I'm from Detroit, not all of them are. And they have, you know, I started to run a little bit because
right. You see black people running, like, oh.
My nature. And so all the black folks ran and the non-black folks was like, what's going on? And for my non-black friends, if black people run in a group in particular, because y'all, my friends, I love you, to run.
You're going to run.
Just run. Ask why you running or ask when you get to where we stop. Don't.
Right, don't, right, keep running.
The people who have the answers to what's going on are no longer there.
Right.
I mean, it just happenstance. And we were in like Times Square. We hadn't even gone that far. So
Times Square
is known to be wild. And I used to live there. I always lived there so bad because I feel like my sense of taste would fit in more there. Because everybody, I'm so weird in the Midwest, but in New York, I feel like I'd be pretty boring. So tell us about New York. I'm not going to keep asking about New York fashion at the moment. I will come back.
That's fine.
I do want to know, like, we were comparing to the Midwest. Let's start with this. What are the things that New York got a good lock on, like Midwest can't fuck with? And what are the things the Midwest, you know, New York can't fuck with?
So New York has on lock. You always feel like you're in a movie or TV scene every day. Like every time you like wake up, you go outside or whatever, you look around, you go to work, you're like, man, I saw this on Law and Order. I saw this in this one movie. I saw this street in this one movie. So every time you like get up and just like take a walk to go anywhere, because you have to walk everywhere, you know, you feel like you're in a movie scene. And it's very invigorating to like know that there's like so much history that's like around you, like and like looking up at the buildings and like, seeing the people, like it's so fast and it's just so amazing. Like you really feel like you're in the scene. Also, like it's such a cosmopolitan place. Like people from all over the world, they come to New York to make things happen. So when you're in New York, you're like, oh, or when you're like seeing people in New York, whatever, you're like, oh my God, like everybody here is like, you know, fashionable and like, you know, fancy looking and doing X, Y, Z because they came here for something. So that's, to me, is like really cool. And also like there are industries in New York that don't exist anywhere else. You know, like fashion exists pretty much like in LA and New York currently. I mean, but now that we got everything else happening, who knows?
Yeah, well.
But if you want to do something like this, like crazy big or like really make a name for yourself, like truly, like that's the place to do it. So those are like the things about New York is like that's so different. But the plus of the Midwest is like space. You have the space to do.
That's it, really. That's it. We got a lot. You can get some acres, Acres, I'm saying.
I mean, because like if you're like going to New York, here's the thing about New York too. If you're going to New York to visit, it's amazing, right? But if you're living there, you have New York rent.
I'm just gonna pause real quick and say I realized I changed your name. I did not change my own. And
Lord have mercy. Lord now. Okay.
It's too late. It's too late. It's too late.
Commercial
I
break.
said we not starting over. Fuck it. Fuck it. That's my name. Next time I'll fix it. I fucked up.
You can edit it. We'll figure out how to edit that. At least like put a little black dot of your name.
I'm not gonna do shit. I'm gonna let it ride.
Oh my God. But yes,
But
yo.
go back. I'm sorry, go back. So we said space in the Midwest.
Space and New York rent. New York rent, that is what kills New York for everybody. Cause like it's like you can go out there, you feel like it's so like, you know, invigorating, refreshing, like, you know, you feel like you're part of something. But then your minimum is like $1,200 a month. Yeah. Per person.
Like I said, I'm obsessed with New York, so I watch things. Like I was even watching this woman Apartment Hunt, and she was in like Manhattan or some shit, some place that sounded expensive. And rent for like a studio was like over 2 G's, and she's looking at these bitches. I'm like, I'm not paying 2 G's. And then so I gotta ask you this too. I remember, and this was implanted in my head in high school by shit. Actually, okay, so I don't know if she will watch this, but y'all had something in high school about roaches in New York, and they just crawl out your sink. And I have a huge fear of roaches. And so that's really what held me back in life. Like, is it really that bad? Are roaches just in New York?
Yes.
Citizens.
Yes. I mean, roaches in New York, I feel like I shouldn't even talk shit about them because I feel like they're going to come and attack me. I've seen 2. I can't even talk about it. Yes, the roaches in New York are citizens. They don't pay rent, but they should, because they literally live in your apartment and they just live there. They are your brethren. You know, they're your friends. Like, I have so many stories of me trying to kill a roach and that roach came back at me. Like, there was this one time.
So they fighting roaches. These ain't regular roaches. Because St. Louis had roaches. When I lived in St. Louis, here's a fun fact from a person who's afraid of roaches. Roaches cannot walk backwards. And that's why if you've ever heard about people getting like a roach in their ear, it's because these motherfuckers can't back up. Once they in your ear, bitch, they there.
They there. You got to get like tweezers. It's a whole thing.
Jesus. Oh God. Every time I think about it, I sleep with cotton balls. But roaches came back up. So one time I was living in St. Louis and I had hardwood floors, and this motherfucker, it was quiet. It was quiet in my house. And I heard like the little click, because this motherfucker was walking on the hardwood. I see him, and he's so big because they fly south. These motherfuckers fly. And I looked over and I stood on my bathtub because at a standstill, and that's, you know, I had to remember he can't bust a Yui. He can't go backwards. He can't back up away from me. He had to Michigan U to leave. And that's when that knowledge helped me. But outside of that, I'm afraid of roaches crawling in my ear.
Listen, let me tell you my worst roach story from New York, okay?
Yes.
I was living in Bushwick.
I'm stressed. Go ahead.
Don't put them on. I'm ready to throw. Be like, yo, I see them motherfucker. So my worst roach story in New York. So I was living in Bushwick, Brooklyn, right? And my roommates were both gone. They were both at work. They were working at Trader Joe's. And so it was just me at home, coming back from mood. And so I'm sitting there watching TV, and this roach, like this big roach, like one of the full-grown roaches, like, you know, jumps up on me. Yeah, and he like comes up on like the TV stand, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna kill, you know, like I can't deal with this shit. So I take my sandal off, and I, you know, start slapping and throwing it at him, and like he keeps dodging, you know, and I'm like, damn, this roach is like a ninja roach. And so I'm just like, you know, trying to like, get him or whatever. And finally, like I throw my shoe and I knock him, and he's like over on his back, and I'm like, okay, fine, I got him. Let me go get the Raid, and I'll finish him off. So then I go to like turn around and get the Raid, and I hear the
Oh, no.
And he's turned over on his back, and turned over on his front, and then he flies at me. He's like, ah!
It's New York. They're not supposed to fly in New York.
That's what I said. That's what I was like. You know what? You know what? Let me just take a walk.
I'm so stressed.
Let me just leave. Let me just leave my apartment real quick. I'm gonna go outside. I'm gonna take a walk. I'm gonna go around the corner. Because this roach just flew at me. And that's not supposed to happen.
And that's why I could never live there. I couldn't.
He was so angry. He just made himself like, huh, huh, da, da, da. I was like, oh, okay. I gotta go. This is your apartment. And I came home like maybe 2 hours later. My roommates were like, what happened? Why aren't you here? I'm like, yeah, the roach flew at me. They're like, you didn't kill it? I'm like, did you kill it?
You fought it. That was
right. I tried, girl. But that thing came at me like, he was like, yo, I'm about to attack. And I'm like, okay, bye. New York is your space. Bye.
That U-turn roach story did not end with just me going to sleep. I actually sat in the 24-hour cafe. Mm-hmm. Oh, no. I slept on the couch in the lobby, and I had it was this older white woman who lived upstairs from me. She used to teach sociology at Chicago University. Me and her were friends because she wasn't afraid of roaches. She was afraid of rats and mice. I'm unbothered. It's a yes, because I'd rather have mice than roaches. Because I have one mouse. I was to go down a tangent about that time this mouse came here and tricked me. It was my cat. But anyway, I stayed in my apartment for like 2 or 3 days because of that roach. And I eventually let a strange man inside just to check for roaches. I could have died. He was smaller than me, so I guess I wasn't that concerned. But
right, no danger. But still, you do that shit.
But before we go back to the original conversation, I have my favorite questions. Ghosts or roaches? Which would you rather have?
Ghost. I feel like honestly, in the house that I'm in currently, like I'm in my mama's house, I feel like there've always have been ghosts in this house. And it was so funny. I was going to the basement earlier, and I had my other homegirl on like FaceTime or whatever. And I was showing her around, and I showed her these like ceramic figures that were left here by the previous owners. So that's like maybe like 30 years ago. And I'm like, holy, yeah. So like every morning I wake up, like I feel like something in my bed, and I think it's my cat, but it's not. I wake up and then my cat's not there.
Do you mind going down this path, or is it like, because I know some people don't want to talk about the shit because they by themselves in the house. Like, I ain't trying to freak out, but
I love supernatural. Yeah.
All right, let's do this. Tell us about these ghosts. You said you've always been ghosts.
Yeah. So like, I feel like there are definitely ghosts in the house that I'm currently living in. So my whole purpose of coming from New York originally was to help remodel my mom's house. And I've been staying here for like 3 weeks. Now that I've been staying here, I'm like, yeah, this house is definitely haunted. Almost 4.
Wow. We gonna put a pin in that because you got to tell us the story about the motherfucking
my exodus
to Michigan in the middle of a pandemic. But let's get to this ghost shit. We're gonna come back to that.
Right. So yeah, I mean, like I've been staying in this house for almost like 4 weeks or whatever, 3-4 weeks, and like I definitely have always like felt there was a presence in this house. Like I don't know who like lived here or whatever, but like when I'm like around, I don't know, when I'm sleeping in bed, I always feel like some kind of like presence like on my bed, like a soft kind of like almost like tucking me in. And I was always thinking of my cat, you know, like walking around, like because he does that sometimes where it's like, you know, I'm sleeping or whatever, and he walks around my bed or whatever. But I open my eyes and there's nothing there. And I get up and my cat's like in a whole different room, cuddled up and sleeping and everything.
But you say you've always felt that. So before you moved back, because you've been in this house before, correct?
Yes.
You felt that presence prior to moving back.
I always felt it was a presence, but I never felt like it was directly like touching me before. Like when I first lived here when I was a child, I was like, okay, there's somebody here or something here or whatever. But I felt like it kind of knew that I knew. So it just like stayed back. But now that I'm an adult and I'm the only like human in the house, it wants to interact.
But you don't feel threatened or anything?
I don't feel threatened, but I definitely feel like, I mean, like, there are times I wake up in the middle of the night or early in the morning and I'm like, who's that? Who's touching me? And there's nobody there.
Are you afraid to get naked? That's my concern with ghosts. Like, they gonna see me like naked.
I mean, I feel like it's ghosts. I mean, like, honestly, like, I'm clearly clothed right now, but like, I feel like, yo, y'all dead. I can see through y'all motherfuckers.
I feel like, yo, y'all dead, so that's what you want to look at my body.
Right.
I mean, cool.
You look at my living
you
flesh.
Gonna tell?
I mean, right, like, okay, you look at my warm living flesh. I mean, like, I don't care about that. My only thing is I don't want my grandparents to see me naked. You know what I'm saying?
And that's what I'm saying. I need to know who the ghost is, because not even just naked, like, you know, other stuff. I don't need.
Yeah.
Certain ghosts don't need to see that shit.
Exactly. Certain ghosts, but I don't feel like those are like my family. They're not my family at all. They're some strangers, but they're cool. Yeah, but they're cool. They're cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, they, you know, they want to chill, whatever. But it's not my grandparents. So I would definitely know oh my God. Let me tell you. Are we talking about sex on this thing?
What?
Are we talking about sex?
Whatever you want to talk about. It's up to you.
There was this one time I was about to have sex with this really sexy Argentinian guy in New York, right?
Mm-hmm.
Also do a ghost too. And so, like, you know, we about to get down. I was like, okay, you know, can you get sexy? I had, like, you know, everything off. I was like ready to go. And I literally felt my grandmother pull me by the scruff of my neck. My grandmother. And she was like, bitch, if you don't get your ass up and get your fast-tailed ass out of this house, I will haunt you forever. I was like, oh, okay, grandma. And I was like, I can go to the bathroom. I was like, what? And I went and I put my clothes on real quick. Like, okay, I gotta go. Bye.
That's a sign. That's a sign. You dodged the bullet you don't even know you dodged.
No, he became like a stalker for like a year.
Oh, well, there it is.
Exactly. So I'm just like,
thank God
I never had sex with you, because I almost did. And like, honestly, like, that's the only time I felt my grandmother there, where she was like, she shouldn't have been there. She was like, if your fast-tailed self don't put your clothes on and take yourself out of this house. I was like, okay, grandma. Okay. Yeah, man.
I'm sorry. I'm mildly distracted because I think John is doing vocal exercises. John!
He must feel jealous.
Are you doing vocal exercises? He said, yes, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, chill.
You said no? He lying.
Yeah, I heard yes earlier.
Right. God, how did we get here? I had 800 questions.
We're talking about ghosts. We're talking about New York. So hold on, my mask is wrong. Hold up.
Do what you
okay. Yes.
Damn it, ghosts.
Ghosts, fashion.
So you know what? Fuck it. We're gonna move on to the piece of resistance. Is it piece de resistance? Is it cease?
Sis.
The next shit.
Mm-hmm.
So as I mentioned about 3 seconds ago, you had to make a journey from New York to Michigan in the midst of this pandemic, and you had no options. I need us the picture, like, give us the details, paint the scene, tell us about this journey that you went on.
Hold up.
Is that type of journey.
Okay. So, I had a hell of a time with my apartments in New York. That's a whole different story. So my last place I was living at in New York was a sublease that was like from January to April. But the corona happened, and the sublease was owned by this guy who works on Broadway. He's like a Broadway like costume designer / actor. So when corona hit, he was forced to leave Broadway because all the theaters shut down, and he had to come home. He had rented me his apartment for those 4 months, but he had a cat allergy. So he could not be there with my amazing cat, who is not on camera, but he could not be there with Grayson.
If he
so I
comes
had
by,
to leave.
please show him. I would like to see cats, please.
I mean, if he comes by, yeah, but currently he's like, he already ate, so he's just like, he's ignoring me.
He's in
Sorry.
his room. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's in his own room. He actually is. So, yeah, like, the guy who like owned the apartment could not live with me and Grayson, and I had no place lined up, and the plague was happening, so I had no choice but to come back to Michigan. Luckily, my mom had a whole house that she wasn't really living in because she's a doctor, and she's a doctor for the Michigan prison systems. So she's constantly traveling throughout the different prisons in the state to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do. So because of that, she has an apartment in Saginaw, and she also stays with her man who lives like someplace in another suburb, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But her house has been empty for almost a year, maybe more than that. So once like the plague hit, I was like, all right, I have no choice. Let me drive back from New York to Michigan with my cat in tow. And I also have like 2 baby box turtles who are super cute, but they're also like really sensitive to like, you know, moving and space.
Also didn't have a car.
I also did not have a car. So I tried to rent a car from Enterprise, I think. And like that didn't work out. So I had to rent a car for somebody else. So like, yeah, I ended up
Give us some
renting
timeline so we understand how deep into the pandemic we were when this happened. This wasn't like what came before April.
No, this happened the week of the 21st or the 23rd. I finally got back to Michigan the 20th of March.
Of March.
Yeah. So this is like March 21st
so
to 23rd.
Was New York on lockdown yet?
New York wasn't on lockdown, but on the 22nd, when I was actually like loading everything into my car from my apartment, there were ambulances like coming like up the street and body bags being brought out from the apartment buildings across the street from where I was living. And that's when I was like, oh no. And my parents were like, don't worry, just take a break. It's so fine. You can sleep, da da da. And I'm like, driving like Mad Max style, like, oh, and I'm like, I can't stop. Y'all don't understand how bad this shit is. And literally, when I arrived in Michigan on the 23rd, they put the state on lockdown. They were like, yeah, nobody from New York can come to Michigan anymore. So had I waited another week like my parents wanted me to, I would have just been like stuck out there.
Yeah, I know. I was texting you. I know I scared everybody and their mom. I'm like, get food. Hey.
Listen, that was like the most intense. I literally did like a 10-hour drive straight, you know, and my cat was in the back seat yowling the entire time. Wah!
It'd be the most stressed out ass meow, and it makes you feel bad, like, oh God.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm like, baby. That was something like, baby, are you okay? Like, wah! I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, kitty.
It's so stressful.
But it was like 10 hours of Grayson's like yowls and me driving. So eventually I put on emo music, like Dashboard Confessional. Like, don't you see, the parade, it's over.
It does. That makes sense.
Exactly. I was like, okay, at least it's like coordinate. You know what I mean? At least it sounds good together. Like at least Grayson's like yowls and like Dashboard Confessional and Panic at the Disco and My Chemical Romance, they all go together. You know what I'm saying? Like at least that's like
very 2000s.
Yes, when I tried to listen to my like a hip hop Kanye playlist, like that was terrible. Like trying to listen to Kanye and yowls from a cat.
I haven't listened to him in so long. You know, I don't know how to feel about Kanye. I used to be a really big Kanye fan. I have no loyalty. Fuck, I was gonna burn incense and shit. I'm so behind him. I'm so pissed.
Kitty!
And I have to pee. What do I do? I'm a burn. I have to pee, but I'm not gonna pee right now. I'm gonna give it a minute.
You want to have like a 30-minute break? If you have a commercial break?
There's nothing. I don't know how to. Oh, I have a lighter right here.
Hey.
Let's light this incense. I wanted to have like some ambiance.
We can have a commercial break. I mean, I don't
know how to do that with Zoom. I'm not gonna pee. It's fine. My urethra is great. She does.
Girl.
I put my incense. I'm ready. So we were talking about Kanye.
Talking about Kanye. You can't fuck with Kanye.
No. Now I want to ask you because Kanye came up. Did you see
fuck him.
celebrities in New York? Like, have you ever seen these celebrities in New York?
Honestly, this is gonna sound terrible. The only celebrity I've ever seen in New York was Caitlyn Jenner. I know. I mean, and that's the thing. That's my issue. It's like, again, like I have social anxiety, so it's like I'm always like kind of like looking down, and it's like looking like, you know, it's like the atmosphere, or looking at like graffiti or something like cool like that.
Yeah, you don't want to make eye contact with men. Are the men in New York really that bad? Like in comparison,
they're terrible. The men in New York, oh my God. Because like so first of all, the men in New York, they all have, for whatever reason, these really thick, sexy lips, right? So they're like, how you doing, ma? And you're like, I guess I'm doing good. So it's like, they all just like have this like random, just, I don't know, sexiness to them. But they're also all just
Are they all wearing Tims? Is that a thing?
They have Tims. They may not be wearing them, but they're always wearing fresh shoes. Especially like the Harlem dudes and the Brooklyn dudes, like their shoes are always fresh. You know, it may not be Tim specifically, but they definitely have them in their wardrobe. So like when it comes like fall, winter, they pull them out.
What are they wearing in the summer if they're not wearing Tims then?
Jordans.
Interesting. But you all have sexy lips, but they're trash.
Exactly. Because there's too many options in New York. You know what I'm saying? Like all these dudes, like they're sexy, but like they have so many options, so they feel like they don't have to really be accountable to anybody.
I feel like all men feel that way. Is that just New York men? Do you think that's different? Like Chicago, Detroit?
I do. I feel like Detroit guys, like at a certain point, even Chicago guys, at a certain point they realize, like, you know, their time is running out, and so they settle down.
Yes, they'd be like, you know what? I woke up this morning, I was 40.
They'll be like, I'm 30 years old. I'm getting old. Let me find a wife. And I'm like, cool. But New York dudes, New York ninjas, they never get that memo. And so it's like, I know some New York ninjas who are like in their 40s, 50s, 60s. I dated a dude who was like in his 40s when I was like in my like late 20s. And he still thought he was that ninja. And I'm like, you have erectile dysfunction? I need you to understand your place. Like, I like you as a person, but when it comes down to that, I don't know. I don't know the side.
I have a very strange question, and because I noticed a difference in Michigan, in Detroit specifically. Men at bars flirt. This has always been my experience at home. I'm not the cute girl in the group, right? My friends is bad, right? I know that. My friends is cute. They attract ninjas, as we have said. Said ninjas will buy drinks for the group. Another pound, a bottle. It's for everyone. Everyone's bill. They don't just pay for the one person. They show out. And then I moved and I was like, you really buying a drink just for one person at this table? Like, what does that mean? Is New York like that? Are men sending bottles, or are they sending one individual drink for you?
I've never experienced a man buying me a drink in New York.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Ever. Unless it was like I was at like a family event and the man of the family was like paying for everybody. But as far as like a man like buying me a drink, taking me on a date, buy my food, saying like, oh yeah, you know, I'm gonna pay for that. Never. Nope.
Is it because the cost of living is so high?
Go pee.
What?
You said you had to pee like 20 minutes ago.
Oh, peeing. Well, what are we gonna do during this time? Because if I stop it, it's gonna be 2 different videos. And I said we don't stop. It's just gonna be a commercial break.
Girl, you on the background. You get your phone. Can you like have a selfie stick? Can you walk?
Here, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna just put this candle. I'm gonna need you to entertain everyone while I take a pee break.
Like, put on some music so I can dance. Terribly.
You're not gonna be able to hear it.
It's fine.
Hold on. Oh God.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hold on. I'm gonna put on this music.
Not some like some jazzy. Matter of fact, let me go find my iPad.
So break, everyone. I'm gonna be back in like 3 seconds. Look at this smoke while I go pee. I gotta pee. Oh, my knee. Hold on. What, John? What?
Lord have mercy.
I'm sorry. I ran and you danced, didn't you? You did.
Yes. What else am I supposed to do?
I appreciate that. I really needed to pee, and I had to wash my hands for at least 20 seconds according to the CDC.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So, you know what? This is what I thought about. I don't know what we were talking about before, but let's talk about anime. Let's talk about
anime. Yes.
From
animation.
What's your favorite one right now?
Oh, so currently, I'm trying to go through like all of Naruto.
Okay.
And Naruto is like, I don't know, maybe like 500. Maybe like 500 episodes long.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's some smoke going across your face. It's really intense. Is the incense?
It's the incense.
That's like kind of distracting. Like, what's going on?
Oh shit! It ashed on the computer. This is my work computer. Jesus Christ! I need this work on Monday.
Okay, kitty.
It's fine.
Oh shit,
fine.
This cat. Oh god. Yeah. So I love Naruto. Yes, that's why I keep calling people. That's why I keep calling people ninjas instead of using the N word, because I feel like ninjas is a kind of like a way to call. You know, it sounds good. It sounds the same, but at the same time, it's like not offensive to nobody. Because at the Wu-Tang, they were ninjas, right?
We talked about that because I've been calling people nakers.
Yes.
You know, just so you know, you don't get blocked and deleted by Facebook, basically. Facebook is very concerned about racial slurs only from people who are Black who post them.
Yes.
You seen that Karen is the newest racial slur?
Karen! Yes, I'm like, so how is Karen like, but Talisha is still considered like funny.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like who was that one girl? Kavajane Willis, who played in Beast of No Nation.
Yeah, I can't think of her. It was someone cute though, right?
Her name was Kavajane. I remember that. Yeah. I forget the name of like the thing she played in. It was like that whole you know, kind of like after Katrina story, and it was like that, you know.
But have you, Aquafina, that's what I'm thinking of. Have you seen this? It's an Asian woman, and she plays, you know, she does comedy, and her like comedic name is Aquafina. You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Jumanji Part like 27.
I mean, honestly, like, I don't know. I don't want to get too like heavy on this late night show, but my issue so far has been with like Asians and white people experiencing racism or prejudice for the first time because of everything that's going on. And I'm like, I relate.
What oppression? Look, Asian folks is dealing with some shit. I will agree with that. What's happening with white people? What's the oppression they facing? Because they can't.
White people have never had slave papers before. What's happening? They have slave papers now.
You said what? Slave papers?
Yes.
Where?
Like if they're essential workers, they have to get a paper to show that they
John ain't got no motherfucking paper. He just go to work. Don't nobody say shit.
I'm saying, but like I have like two, like not two, but at least like 2-3 white people on my friends list or whatever who recently got their slave papers. Because like if they don't have papers to show that they're actually going to work, they get $1,000 fine. And they're like, "What is this? This is not American. This is democracy."
And I'm like, the correct paperwork.
This is so American.
Jimmy John's give you any paperwork in case the police stop you? The fuck? He said no.
I mean, but that's what's going on. I'm saying, like, you know, in like West Michigan, you know, that kind of place.
Oh yeah, West Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Strange place.
Strange. Well, my white brethren are saying for the first time, like, I gotta have papers to go wherever I want. I'm like, got papers to leave the plantation? How you doing? Can I get some of your papers?
John came out. Let me clarify. So, baby, we was asking, do you have paperwork if the police pull you over and be like, why you out here driving, boy?
Saying you're an essential worker. Saying you're an essential worker. At that
part. Make it racist.
Yeah, you did. Normally, no, because you usually have a car top on the car.
But on the way to work, they don't know that.
Yeah, but we're not shut down, so I don't think it's on the issue.
Can you make me another drink, please?
Need one?
Yes.
I hate y'all.
Fine.
I'm over here just like pouring my own shit. Like, drink, baby. Thank you, baby.
I made two drinks. I got my second drink.
Lord have mercy, Lord now. But yes, the
we're trying.
I know, right? It's crazy.
So what were we talking about? Oppression of. So what's the oppression of Karen? Because they got to tell the police. Yeah, we're talking about Karen. They have to tell the police why they're moving. Hold on. Let's back up. I don't know who watching this shit. They may have already stopped watching because they were offended.
Sorry.
Let's come up with a working definition of a Karen. What is a Karen?
I mean, I feel like a Karen is a Taliqua or Sheila. You know, a Karen is your stereotypical white woman.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's hard for white people to accept that there are stereotypes about them because they never experienced that before.
Mm-hmm.
But there are. And so a Karen is a white woman who feels entitled to everybody's time and opinion. Her opinion is everybody, like, it should be like the best opinion. She wants everybody to waste their time on her. She needs to be heard. Generally, she's not satisfied with her family situation. So she's taking out her anger and aggression on random people in the street who she deems like worse than her.
John is raising his hand. Hold on. Why are you raising your hand?
Because I have a theory.
You have a theory? Let me just say before we get to John's theory, real quick. I have no idea how long it's been recording. This is my first time doing this. Hopefully this all saves. Because I feel like we've been talking for like over an hour. Maybe an hour. So we'll see when this all falls out. What were we going to say?
Karens are just the girls.
Pretty
White girls from high school. They're like, oh, you so pretty, pretty, who done grew up, but none of that shit came true.
Oh, so they're bitter.
Yeah, they're the ones who like when they peaked in high school and cheerleading type shit. It's like all your life is going to like be the best and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Then they went to college and found out
every white woman is not a Karen.
Mm-hmm.
So in conclusion, it's not necessarily a racial slur. We're not referring to a white woman. Whoever we're talking about a specific kind of white woman.
The ones like built up,
white feminist.
The ones who peaked in high school and then that shit just fucking crashed because they never could get back to that level.
Okay.
But at the same time, I feel like Karen is not the same as nigga.
Right.
Like Karen is not used to be oppress anybody.
Is Shaquisha. That's what
Exactly. So it's like, I don't understand how this is a slur. It's not a slur. It's a fact.
Right.
So I'm sorry if anybody's named Karen, they feel like really offended by this shit. But it's like, I mean, my whole thing is I used to call like people, like white folk who I didn't like, I used to call them pale faces. And people are like, oh, that's terrible. And I'm like, what am I supposed to call them?
I feel like, and I just looked at the time, we're going to have to schedule another call for discussions about social issues.
Okay, yeah, later, because it's supposed to be a light conversation. I'm so sorry.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying we need more time because I think I would love to dig into as we go into Karens and stuff. But I still want to make sure we cover. No, I don't remember. We never finished. That's what it was. I had to pee in the middle of the anime conversation.
Anime!
Naruto, yes. That's what I want to make sure we cover. Just everyone, someone out there, whoever watches this whole fucking like hour and a half video, remember we need to come back to the conversation about
Karens.
Specific intersectionality around race and gender.
Yes, we'll talk about that. Yes, definitely.
So that will be, I'm a go. I have a status that I use as my lineup. So I'm gonna just comment your name.
Back. This is like Reading Rainbow. Like next step. Right,
you don't come back because these are the interviews no one asked for. So if no one watches,
exactly,
that's okay. John came to sit in here and listen. That wasn't me laughing. We're talking about anime. So
right.
He wants to hear the conversation about anime. So you said Naruto. That's the last thing I remember.
Yeah, so Naruto is currently the one I'm like really into because it's such a long series. But as far as the series that have like really like shaped my life, there's a manga called Great Teacher Onizuka about this like guy who is like kind of like delinquent and becomes a teacher randomly. And he has like kind of a terrible personality, but he ends up like helping the kids. There's also a Fruits Basket, which is like
manga, please. I'm sorry, I'm listening. I'm asking John to get manga because I want to show you mine that I just bought recently. Go ahead, I'm listening.
Okay. I was like, is John like, like, is he doing like a gatekeeping thing where he's like, about Naruto, you ain't shit.
No, like, he clapped the manga you just talked about, and that prompted me to be like, oh, I want to show this bought at Yamacon.
Okay. First book. Also, like, Fruits Basket was one of the ones that shaped my empathy, I feel like, because that was a really good shoujo manga and anime about a girl who, like, interacts with his family who turns into animals. I love animals. And I would say my third biggest, I don't know, Ranma Half is a really old manga from, like, the 80s.
John said, wow.
That was a deep cut.
A deep cut? What do you mean?
Like, she just said, like that's an old anime from back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
I told you.
Ranma Half.
He said he's told me about, ooh. Go ahead, I'm listening. Go ahead.
It's bizarre. You would dig it. And
I wanted to show you, I pulled out, so I found this author, it's not an author, it's a, what would you call it?
Mangaka.
Was it mangaka?
Mm-hmm.
So I love horror. And
yes.
It's like, let's see, will it show anything? No.
I can't see anything. No. Kind of no, but no.
Yeah, that pisses me off. It's all horror. I can't, let me put in the chat. I don't know how to pronounce this, but I want you to keep talking, but I'm gonna put this in the chat in case you know how to pronounce this.
So yeah, Great Teacher Onizuka, Ranma Half, GTO, what was the other one? Yes! Juncho, oh my god, she's amazing. Oh my gosh, she did this whole comic called Uzumaki. It's about this whole spiral thing, and like these spirals they take over your life and take over your head, and it's so creepy. Yes, I love her. She's like definitely been an influence. And then my other influence has been damn it. I can't think of the name right now. Battle Angel Alita is one.
I've heard of that. John went to see that, right?
AKA Gun.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I went to go see it.
Battle Angel Alita, the manga, because like I used to think that she was a black girl because she had thick lips and like fuzzy hair, and I was like, oh, she's like me. I had my hair straightened, so I used to feel like I was Alita. And then the other one is Blade of the Immortal.
I know none of these. I just keep looking at John because he's the anime person.
Blade of the Immortal is like this really amazing manga. I hear it's an anime, but I have never watched the anime. I've only read the manga. And it has the manga up to like the most like recent thing by an artist called Hiroaki Shamura.
John, do you read mangas? So the only manga I have is the one well, not the only one, but the only author.
Junko, yes, she's amazing.
But I watch anime, but I can't figure out what my genre is. Just ignore that. If I were to list the anime that I like, there's no connecting tissue. Like
you like Food Wars, yeah?
Yes, I love Food Wars. We just finished that. I used to be a huge fan of Inuyasha. I liked, what else did I like?
You like Attack on Titan?
Oh, I love Attack on Titans. We're rewatching that because I want to watch.
Okay, yes. Have you watched Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood?
Which one?
Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
I used to kind of watch Full Metal Alchemist. John was upset because I was not disturbed by that one episode with the dog.
Ah! Yeah, that was terrible.
I was just like,
because she posted something on my Facebook page.
Who did?
And everybody
yes, you.
For you because of it.
Yes, you. Of course, you.
What disturbed me was the episode with the mom when they brought the mom back. Like that fucked me up. I was like, she came back all wrong. That bitch was not right. And so that fucks me up. But the dog one, I'm like, yeah, that seems like some shit a man would do.
Yep, some shit a man would do.
So,
ridiculous.
what else do I watch? What did I watch recently? That one with the police and shit. No.
The police?
Psychopath. I liked Psychopath. I'm sorry. I like Psychopath. I like the one that made the movie. We started to watch the movie, but no, with the one dude who looked like the monster. Death Note.
Death Note is cool. It's cool, but I mean, I don't know. How can you like Death Note, but you can't watch Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood? Like that's crazy. Or
I don't know.
Promise Neverland.
I don't know what the thing is
Neverland?
that I like.
But she only
Promise Neverland is so scary and fucked up.
Yeah, you only like the first season of Death Note.
I don't know what it is that I liked. I did prefer the first season.
John, go away. Shut up, John. But you should watch Promise Neverland.
Oh, he left me so sad. Oh no.
Oh no. But this is our talk show. Like he's like out in the audio. He's like making everything sound crazy. I'm so sorry.
He wants to be part of the conversation. John don't be talking to people all day. So every time somebody on the phone, he wants to talk to them.
I understand. I feel really bad. I feel like
You're not lost puppy. You're my lost puppy.
I'm sorry, my Leo friend. I'm sorry, my cousin's husband. I truly apologize. I just you sound really bad on the audio right now because you're not part of the official conversation. But if you sit down like with Kitty, and we can give you a different name instead of John. Okay.
I'm gonna go back and punch monsters in the face.
He's gonna go play his game.
Thank you. Thank you, Hubby Ninja. Hi.
What did you guys talk about Naruto?
He came out because of the Naruto.
I'm sorry.
That's you'll see it later because I'm gonna post it later. Okay. I think we need to get to the point. What is
okay?
One more conversation before we get this up. We're keeping everything light. So if you had to pick one thing that you had to I'm terrible at this. I basically
Lord have mercy.
Find one more thing that you really want to get across to people. It can be whatever you want. If it's a story you want to tell, if it's a message, if it's a thought, who you are, whatever it is. Like, let's give us one last thing.
Okay, my final thought is believe in yourself. And I know it's looking around.
I think we just lost power in half our house.
It looks dark for no reason.
It's going to have to be final.
Later. Listen.
My battery is going to die, and we lost power in the house, and I don't know why. So,
okay.
Thanks for talking. I'm going to end this.
All right.
Save it.
Good luck, cousin. I love you.
I love you too. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.
The hell? Oh my.